A loner cowboy let a pregnant woman rest. By sunrise, her people brought him their blessing. Blood on Main Street. The laughter died when blood hit the dust, not from a gunshot, from her bare feet, torn raw by miles of walking. The woman swayed in the middle of Bitter Creek's main street, belly swollen with life, face purple with bruises that told their own story. "Ain't our problem," muttered the banker, stepping around her like she was roadkill. The sheriff adjusted his badge and looked away. The preacher's wife clutched her shawl tighter. Even the saloon girls, who'd seen their share of suffering, turned their painted faces toward the windows. Only one man stopped. Eli Boone didn't speak much anymore, not since the war. Not since he'd buried what was left of his soul somewhere between Atlanta and the Arizona Territory. His scarred hands had forgotten gentleness, but they remembered duty. "Can you walk?" His voice came out like gravel scraping stone. The woman's eyes, black as river stones, met his. She didn't answer. Couldn't. But when he offered his arm, she took it with fingers that trembled like autumn leaves. The crowd watched, judged, whispered. "That's a Navajo," someone hissed. "He's taking in a Navajo." The word spread through the crowd like wildfire. In Bitter Creek, helping an Indian was worse than helping a criminal. It was social suicide. "Boone's finally lost it," the barber muttered. "War broke his mind, now this." But Eli kept walking, each step deliberate. Each step is a choice. The woman stumbled. Her knees buckled. Without thinking, Eli swept her into his arms. She weighed nothing, bones and baby and determination. "Don't," she whispered. One word. It cost her everything to say it. "Too late for don't," Eli replied. Behind them, spurs jingled. 3 men emerged from the saloon. Not locals. Their clothes are too clean, their guns too well oiled. Bounty hunters. "That woman's worth gold," the tallest one called out. "Hand her over and we'll cut you in." Eli didn't stop walking. "Not for sale." "Everything's for sale in the territory, friend." "I'm not your friend." The bounty hunter's hand moved toward his gun. The crowd scattered, but Eli just kept walking, the woman trembling in his arms. The burden of silence. Behind his cabin where the world couldn't judge, Eli laid the woman on fresh hay in the lean-to. Her breathing came in gasps, each one a battle. He brought water. She drank like she hadn't seen clean water in days. He brought hardtack and jerky. She ate with the desperation of someone who'd learned hunger was a patient predator. "Name?" he asked. She shook her head. Names were dangerous things in the territory. "The child's father." Her hand moved to her belly protectively. "Dead. They killed him. Made me watch." Eli didn't ask who they were. In his experience, cruelty didn't need names. The woman's eyes focused on something beyond the walls. He was a teacher, believed words could change the world. They hung him from the school he built. "I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't bring back the dead." She looked at him then, really looked. "You know this." He did. His own ghosts numbered in the dozens, faces of men he'd killed in war, faces of men he'd failed to save. "Why help me?" she asked. "Why not?" "That's not an answer." Eli was quiet for a long moment. "Maybe I'm tired of walking past." The door exploded inward, the 3 bounty hunters from town, guns drawn. "Figured you'd be stubborn," the tall one said. "The woman's husband is offering $500. That's more than you'll see in 10 years, Boone." "Get out." "Can't do that. See, we already told Garrison we found his property. He's particular about his investments." The woman made a sound half laugh, half sob. "Property. That's all I ever was to him." "You ran from your lawful husband," the bounty hunter said. "That makes you a thief. Stole yourself." Eli stood slowly. The bounty hunters tensed. They'd heard the stories. Eli Boone, the ghost of Chickamauga, the man who'd held a bridge alone against 20 Confederate soldiers. "The lady's my guest," Eli said. "You're not. 3 against 1, old man. Your count's off." Eli's coat shifted, revealing the Colt at his hip. "I count 3 dead men who don't know it yet." The weight of memory. The bounty hunters left, but their threat lingered. Eli knew they'd be back. Men like that always came back. He sat on the porch, Winchester across his knees, watching the darkness. Inside the lean-to, the woman slept fitfully. Sometimes she called out in Navajo. Sometimes she just whimpered. The night sounds of the territory surrounded him. Coyotes, owls, the whisper of wind through sage. It reminded him of another night, 5 winters past. He'd been tracking Apache raiders who'd hit a supply wagon, got caught in a blizzard. The horse died. Frostbite took 2 toes before he even realized he was dying. The old Navajo found him half buried in snow. He never said why he helped. Just dragged Eli to a hogan that smelled of smoke and herbs, fed him broth, kept the fire burning. For 2 weeks, they didn't share a language beyond gestures. But understanding grew anyway. The old man had lost family too. His eyes carried the same weight Eli's did. When the storm passed and Eli could walk, he tried to pay the man, tried to thank him. The old Navajo just pressed an eagle feather into his hand and pointed toward the sunrise. Go. Live. Eli never saw him again, never knew his name, but the debt remained. A scream from the lean-to. Not fear, pain. The woman was in labor. Eli burst through the door. She was on her knees, clutching the wall, her body rigid with contractions. Too soon, she gasped. The baby, too soon. Blood pooled beneath her. Too much blood. I need to get the doctor. No! Her hand shot out and grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. No, doctor, they'll tell Garrison. He'll take her. Huh? I dream of a daughter every night. She has my mother's eyes. Another contraction. Another scream. The baby was coming, whether they were ready or not. Between life and death, Eli had delivered calves and foals, but this was different. The woman gripped his hand hard enough to crack bone. Her eyes rolled back, showing only white. Stay with me, he commanded. It was the first time he'd given orders since the war. The baby was turned wrong. Coming shoulder first. The woman was losing too much blood. Listen, she gasped between contractions. You have to turn her like this. Her hands showed him muscle memory from watching her own mother deliver babies. Eli's scarred fingers, which had taken so many lives, now fought to save one, or two. The storm hit as the baby crowned. Wind howled like all the ghosts of the territory had come calling. Lightning illuminated the woman's face, and in that moment Eli saw it. The same eyes, the same strong jaw, the same quiet dignity. She was the old man's daughter. The realization hit him like a physical blow. All this time, all these miles, and fate had brought the old man's daughter to his door. Your father, he started. Dead, she whispered. 2 winters passed, but he spoke of you, the soldier who walked like death but chose life. The door flew open. Not bounty hunters this time. Deputy Collins and 2 other lawmen, badges glinting in the lamplight. Stand aside, Boone, we got papers. She's giving birth. Doesn't matter. Garrison's coming for his property, legal and proper. The woman screamed again. The baby's head emerged. Get out, Eli snarled. Can't do that, we're the law. Then the law can wait outside. Collins drew his gun. You threatening an officer? Eli didn't answer. He was busy catching a baby. The child slid into his hands, slippery with blood and life. A girl, just like her mother dreamed, but she wasn't breathing. The space between heartbeats. The world narrowed to the space between heartbeats. The baby lay still in Eli's hands. Blue. Silent. The mother reached out weakly. Give her to me. Eli placed the child on her chest. The woman whispered in Navajo, words that sounded like prayers and commands mixed together. She breathed into the baby's mouth. Once, twice. Nothing. Move aside, Collins ordered. We're taking you both. Touch them and die, Eli said quietly. Something in his voice made Collins step back. This wasn't bravado. This was certainty. The woman kept breathing for her child, kept whispering. Her own life flowing out, even as she tried to breathe life in. Then a cry. Weak at first, then stronger. The baby lived. My father's people, the woman whispered. They're coming. I sent word when I ran. If I die, they'll take her. Promise me. Promise you'll let them. You're not dying. But they both knew better. The blood pooling beneath her told its own truth. Promise me something else, she said. Tell her she was loved, that her father died standing, that her mother died free. Tell her yourself. She smiled then. A smile that transformed her battered face into something beautiful. You're a terrible liar, soldier. Outside, more horses. Many more. The ground trembled with their coming. Collins looked out the window and went pale. Sweet Jesus! 200 Navajo riders crested the ridge. Silent as death. Faces painted for war. The reckoning. The lawmen scattered like quail. Even Collins, with all his badge-polished authority, knew when he was outnumbered. They mounted their horses and fled, leaving dust and curses in their wake. The riders surrounded Eli's cabin. They didn't dismount, didn't speak, just waited. The lead rider was older, with silver threading his braids. His eyes were familiar, the woman's eyes, the old man's eyes. Eli stepped onto the porch, hands empty, heart full of understanding. "She lives?" the elder asked in English. "The child lives, the mother—" Eli shook his head. The elder's face didn't change, but something in his posture shifted. Grief held in check by dignity. "May I see them?" Eli led him inside. The woman lay still, the baby at her breast. She'd lasted just long enough to feed her daughter once. Her face was peaceful now, free of pain and fear. The elder knelt beside her, spoke in Navajo. The words sounded like blessings and farewells. "My sister's daughter," he said finally. "She was the last of her line. Her husband was a good man, taught our children the white man's words so they could defend themselves with law instead of arrows. They killed him for it. I'm sorry. You tried to save her. I failed." The elder looked at him strangely. "You are the soldier from the winter storm." It wasn't a question. "Your father saved my life, and you tried to save his daughters. The circle is strange, is it not?" "The child needs a name," the elder said. "In our way, this is important. What did she call her?" Eli remembered the woman's last coherent words. "Hope. She said the baby's name was Hope." In English, yes, she would do that, always looking forward, that one. The elder stood. "The child has a clan. She will be cared for, but—" He paused, studying Eli with eyes that seemed to see through flesh to spirit. "My father saw something in you. So did she, or she would not have sought shelter here. The child should know the man who caught her as she entered this world." From outside came the sounds of unpacking. The riders had brought supplies, grain, dried meat, blankets, tools. They unloaded in silence, filling Eli's meager stores with enough to last months. A woman entered carrying a cradle board, intricately carved with protective symbols. She prepared the mother's body with oils and prayers, wrapping her in a blanket that must have taken a year to weave. What grows from sorrow, they buried her as the sun set in the old way, facing west. The entire clan sang. Eli didn't understand the words, but he felt their meaning. Grief and celebration, ending and beginning, the eternal cycle. The baby Hope was passed from woman to woman, each one whispering blessings. When they brought her to Eli, he didn't know what to do. "Hold her," the elder said. "Let her know your heartbeat. In our way, the first people to hold a child become part of their story." Eli took the baby awkwardly. She was so small, so fragile, but her grip was strong when she wrapped tiny fingers around his scarred thumb. "I don't know anything about children," he said. "Neither did my father when he found his first daughter abandoned by soldiers. He learned. We all learn." As night fell, the riders prepared to leave. But first, the elder drew Eli aside. "The white man Garrison will come. He is prideful. He will not accept this loss. I know. We cannot stay to help. This is not our fight. To involve the clan would bring the army. I know." The elder studied him. "You will stand alone?" "Won't be the first time." "No, I think not." He reached into his pouch and pulled out an eagle feather, like the one his father had given Eli years ago. "You are not Dine, but you are family now. The child will know your name. When she is old enough, she will choose whether to walk in our world or yours. Until then," he gestured to the supplies they'd left. Among them, Eli noticed, were ammunition boxes. Many of them. "We are not warriors anymore," the elder said, "but we remember how to be." 3 days later, Garrison came. He brought 10 men, hired guns from Tucson. They surrounded Eli's cabin at dawn, confident in their numbers. "Boone," Garrison's voice was whiskey rough. "Send out my property." Eli stepped onto the porch, Winchester in hand. "Woman's dead, child's gone. Nothing here for you." "You cost me money, Boone, 500 for the woman, plus what I spent tracking her. You owe me." "I owe you nothing." Garrison was a big man, soft around the middle but mean in the eyes. The kind who bought wives because no woman would have him willingly. "Boys," he called to his men, "burn it down, smoke him out." They moved forward. Eli shot the first torchbearer in the shoulder. The man spun and fell. Next one's in the head, Eli announced. The men hesitated. They'd been told this would be easy. One old soldier against 10 guns. But something in Eli's stance, in his absolute calm, made them reconsider. "Rush him," Garrison screamed. All at once, they tried. It was a mistake. The ghost of Chickamauga, the stories about Eli Boone, were mostly true. He had held a bridge alone. He had walked out of battles that killed entire regiments, not because he was brave, because he was empty. A man with nothing to lose is the most dangerous kind. But now, for the first time in years, he had something to protect. Not the child, she was safe with her people, but the idea of her, the possibility she represented, that someone could be born into violence and still know gentleness. The firefight lasted 6 minutes. When the smoke cleared, 3 of Garrison's men were dead, 4 more wounded. The rest had fled. Garrison himself lay in the dust, gutshot, screaming. Eli walked over to him, reloading as he moved. "Will you feel proud?" Garrison gasped. "Killing white men for a savage." She was 19 years old, Eli said quietly. "Had a name, had dreams. You turned her into property. She was mine. I paid. You paid for nothing. You can't buy what was never for sale." Garrison tried to reach for his hidden derringer. Eli stepped on his wrist. "Here's what's going to happen," Eli said. "Your men are going to take you to the doctor in Tucson. You're going to live. And every day you live, you're going to remember that the woman you called property was worth more than you'll ever be. I'll come back. I'll bring an army." "No, you won't." Eli knelt beside him. "Because if you do, 200 Navajo riders will know your name, your ranch's location, your habits. You've heard what happens to men who threaten their children." Garrison's face went white. Everyone had heard those stories. "Choose," Eli said. "Die today as a fool, or live knowing you lost to a better woman." Collins arrived an hour after Garrison's men carried him away. The deputy surveyed the bodies, the blood, and the spent shells. "You'll hang for this, Boone." "Maybe." 3 dead men. 4 witnesses say you started it. 5 say different. What 5? Eli pointed to the ridge. 5 Navajo riders sat on their horses watching. They'd been there the whole time. Witnesses, protection, family. Collins swallowed hard. "This isn't over. It is for me." The deputy left. The bodies were collected. The blood sank into the earth, and Eli was alone again, or so he thought. What remains winter came early that year. Eli spent it the way he'd spent the 5 before, chopping wood, mending fences, and trying not to think. But something had changed. The cabin felt different, expectant, like it was waiting for something. He found himself preparing, fixing the lean-to properly, building furniture he didn't need, a small chair, a toy box, things a child might use. Going soft, he told himself. But he kept building. Spring brought unexpected visitors, a Navajo woman with a baby on her back. Hope, grown fat and healthy, with eyes that saw everything. "The elder says you should see her," the woman explained. "Know that she thrives." She stayed 3 days, taught Eli how to hold the baby properly, how to make her laugh. Simple things that felt like miracles to a man who'd forgotten gentleness. When she left, Eli felt the emptiness more keenly, but also something else. Purpose, maybe, or just the faint possibility of it. The seasons turned. Every few months, someone would bring hope to visit. She learned to crawl in his cabin. She took her first steps holding on to his scarred hands. She said her first word looking at his face. Eli, not Papa, not Father, just Eli. It was enough, more than enough. When hope was 3, Garrison returned. Not with an army, alone, in a wheelchair pushed by a Mexican servant. The gut shot had left him paralyzed below the waist. Eli met him with a loaded gun. "Peace," Garrison said. "I come in peace. Men like you don't know peace. Men like me can learn." Garrison's face had changed. Pain had carved away the meanness, leaving something almost human. "I dream about her, the woman, every night. Dreams won't bring her back. No, but maybe I can do something. For the child." He had his servant bring a strongbox. Inside $500 in gold. "Blood money," Eli said. "Yes, but it could buy the girl education, future, things her mother wanted." Eli was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Give it to the mission school in her name. Let native children learn what her father died teaching." Garrison nodded. What was her name? Maria. Maria Birdsong. Daughter of Samuel Birdsong, who saved my life. Wife of Thomas Whitehorse, who built schools. Mother of Hope, who will know all their names. Garrison left the gold and rolled away. He never came back. Years later, Eli heard he'd died funding schools for Indian children. Maybe redemption was possible. Maybe it was just guilt about wearing different clothes. Either way, the schools got built. Every life you shelter years passed. Hope grew. She spent half her time with the clan, learning the old ways. Half with Eli, learning the new. She could track like a Navajo and read like a scholar. Could sing the old songs and write in perfect English. When she was 7, she asked about her mother. Eli told her everything. The blood on Main Street. The courage in the lean-to. The love that lasted just long enough. Was she beautiful? Hope asked. She was strong. That's better than beautiful. Was she scared? Everyone's scared. She did what was right anyway. That's what courage is. Hope thought about this. Then, will you teach me to be brave? You already are. You're her daughter. When Hope was 10, the railroad came to Bitter Creek. Progress, they called it. Eli called it change. Neither good nor bad, just inevitable. With the railroad came new people. Some good, some bad, most just trying to survive. Among them a young teacher named Sarah. Widowed in the cholera outbreak back east. Come west to start over. She opened a school. Not just for white children. For anyone who wanted to learn. The town fought her on it. She fought back. Eli found himself helping. Building desks. Fixing the roof. Standing behind her when angry parents came calling. "Why do you care?" she asked one evening. "Someone has to." That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got. But Hope had a better answer. He cares, because that's what my mother would do. Help people who need help. Teach people who need teaching. Stand up when everyone else sits down. Sarah looked at Eli differently after that. And Eli, for the first time in 15 years, remembered what it felt like to be seen as more than a ghost. The return Hope was 12 when the elder came for the last time. He was dying, anyone could see it, but he'd traveled 2 days to reach Eli's cabin. "It's time," he said simply. They sat on the porch, watching Hope play with the other children who'd come with the clan. She moved between worlds effortlessly, speaking Navajo one moment and English the next. "You did well," the elder said. "She knows who she is. She knows who her mother was. That's what matters." "No." The elder smiled. "She knows who she is. Daughter of courage, raised by kindness. She will build bridges between our peoples." "Or she'll just be happy. That's enough too." "Yes, that would be enough." The elder reached into his pouch one last time. "I have something from my father's things. He would want you to have it." It was a photograph, cracked and faded. The old man who'd saved Eli's life was standing next to a young woman, Maria. On the back, in careful script, "My daughter, my hope." "He knew," Eli said. "He knew I'd meet her someday. Perhaps, or perhaps he just hoped. Sometimes hope is enough." That night, the clan held a ceremony, not a farewell, a celebration of life continued, of connections maintained, of the strange circles that bind us all. Hope danced with her people. Eli watched, Sarah beside him. The teacher had become... what? Friend? Companion? Something more? Labels didn't matter in the territory. What mattered was showing up. "She's remarkable," Sarah said. "Her mother's daughter, and yours." Eli started to protest. He wasn't her father, hadn't earned that title, but Sarah touched his arm. "Family isn't just blood, Eli. It's a choice, daily choice. You chose her every day for 12 years. That makes you family." The elder died at dawn, peacefully, surrounded by his people. His last words were in Navajo, but Hope translated, "Tell the soldier, the debt is paid, with interest." What grows in the desert? They buried the elder facing west, like his niece. Like all their people, Hope sang at the grave, her voice carrying across the desert. Eli stood with the clan, no longer a stranger, no longer apart. After the funeral, life continued. It always does. Hope went to school, excelled, dreamed of becoming a teacher like her father. Like Sarah and Eli. That was complicated. Two damaged people learning to trust, taking it slow, building something careful and real. One morning Eli woke to find his trail transformed. Where desert scrub had grown, now flowers bloomed. Hundreds of them. Desert marigolds and purple sage, Indian paintbrush and evening primrose. Footprints in the morning dew told the story. Many hands had worked through the night. The clan, yes, but also others. People from town. Parents of children Sarah taught. People who'd watched Eli stand up when it mattered. On his porch, a hand-carved sign in 3 languages, Navajo, Spanish, and English. Every life you shelter, shelters you back. Beneath the sign, a pile of gifts. Vegetables from gardens, bread from ovens, books for hope, seeds for Sarah's teaching garden. Small things that meant everything. But the greatest gift came from Hope herself. She emerged from the cabin, carrying something wrapped in the old blanket, the one her mother had been buried in. Inside, a painting. Eli's cabin, surrounded by flowers filled with light. In the doorway, shadows that might be people. A woman, a child, a man, a family. I dream sometimes, Hope said, about her. She's not sad, she's not angry, she's just proud of what grew from what she planted. You grew, Eli said. That's all she wanted. No, we grew, all of us, from that one moment when you didn't walk past. Hope smiled, and in that smile was her mother's strength, her father's wisdom, and the elders' dignity. That's what she'd want me to know. That kindness spreads like seeds, like flowers in the desert. The echo, across the frontier. Years later, when Hope had become Dr. Hope Whitehorse Boone, the first native woman doctor in the territory, when Sarah's school had grown into an institution, teaching children of all colors, when Eli's hair had gone white, but his hands had remembered gentleness, they would tell the story, not as a legend, not as myth, but as truth. A pregnant woman stumbled into town, and only one man stopped to help. That man had been saved by her father years before, though neither knew it. The circle of kindness, invisible but unbreaking. The woman died, but her daughter lived. Raised between worlds, building bridges with every breath, proving that the greatest revenge against cruelty is to live well, love deeply, and lift others as you rise. And in Bitter Creek, renamed Hope Springs by vote of the people, a new tradition grew. Every spring, when the desert bloomed, people would plant flowers along the trails, not for beauty, for memory. For the reminder that every life you shelter, shelters you back. Some said if you listened closely on quiet nights, you could hear it. The echo of a choice made in a dusty street. The sound of one man stopping when everyone else walked past. The first note in a symphony of change. But Eli knew better. It wasn't an echo. It was a heartbeat. Still going. Still growing. Still choosing kindness in a brutal world. Because that's what courage really is. Not the absence of fear. Not the presence of strength, just the simple act of stopping when others walk past, of opening your door when others close theirs, of remembering that we all stumble sometimes, and we all need someone to catch us when we fall. Every life you shelter,